Okay, welcome CouperRuss from Paradise Palace to the CouperRuss space and version of the Interior Landscapes exhibition. So we'd love you to just share a little bit about Paradise Palace and we can talk a little more about how the exhibition here came about.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for inviting me to collaborate with you, first of all, and to have me here this morning chatting with you a bit more about the show. Always excited to talk about the work. So Paradise Palace came about in 2017. It was co-founded between me and an independent curator, Lauren Hirschfield. Um, so we kind of started out as this DIY curatorial project as an apartment gallery, which is kind of similar to what's going on with Cooper Russ. And we just had a lot of ideas for experimenting in the art world. We were both coming out of school and, doing the whole grind of working multiple jobs and trying to make our practices as artists and curators still happen. And just like really trying to think about in the work that we're doing how we can address some of those issues in the industry of just like the gatekeeping, how to pull more people in that are going to patron the arts and become collectors eventually. So we had kind of started out with this model of doing campaigns actually, um, with every single exhibition that we did to try to get community involvement and investment in what we were doing. And it was really great. And so people really responded well to that. We did that for a couple years in our apartment gallery and then eventually took our training wheels off and moved into a commercial space in Bushwick. And we built out 10 artist studios and shifted our model a little bit and started playing around with doing more programming, like workshops to again engage the public. And we kind of lost the campaigns and moved to doing collaborative retail items with artists. So like t-shirts, it was the pandemic, so we were making masks and having like a little shop with like collectible items. But eventually through the pandemic, we really got pushed online and our membership really grew from there. And that's just kind of what we ended up focusing on for a couple of years. And so the space didn't really make sense for us anymore. So we ended up leaving after our lease was up a couple of years ago. And we've been really fully nurturing our membership online, but also doing things in person. So we'll have gallery tours, studio visits, happy hours, meetups, social mixers, all that kind of stuff here locally in New York City. And whenever we have the opportunity, we're always trying to collaborate with other organizations that are very like-minded, trying to support artists and help further their careers by building connections between them. So we maybe do like 2 or 3 projects a year just with another organization. And it actually makes more sense for us than having a brick and mortar like we used to, because the whole sort of motivation behind what we're doing is to help artists continue to build their careers. And um, it's just a very artist first model. So like if we're collaborating with another organization, we're introducing you to another group and expanding your audience versus just like, the limited what we have as an audience. So that's kind of been where we're at. And we're still evolving and we actually recently closed our membership and we're going to be focusing more on doing like taking components that were really successful from the membership, like doing industry interviews with curators, writers, other artists, kind of from a professional development lens. And then also still doing those in-person events to continue to nurture our local community. And then if there's an opportunity that comes up that just feels right, it's totally aligned, then we'll continue to still do in-person things, but we're just scaling back a little bit, going back to school. So yeah, that's sort of the short version of our very varied history.
Tell us, Kat, and you might just start off directly speaking about how the interior landscapes at Clavo Ocho in Mexico City, how that came about.
Yeah, so I did an artist residency in Mexico City last year with an organization called Rondo. And the people that run Rondo also have several other um, projects going on at the same time. They also run a pigment company called El Paint Lab. They have their own independent galleries, Plomo, Galleria Union. And then they also have an art fair, Clavo Art Fair. And so I learned about the fair through them. And they encouraged me to apply. It was a pretty accessible fair for somebody who is not familiar with Mexico City and is still sort of in this emerging zone. So yeah, I kind of was like, yeah, I want to go for it. And I also, I'm balancing right now my artist hat and my curatorial hat. And um, I just had a solo show last year, and I kind of was like ready to take a pause and step back from my studio and do some curating again. And I liked the opportunity. I missed the art fairs last year when I did my residency because the fairs are in February, my residency was in March. So I was really curious to go back and check out the art week and like really see how it's different or maybe similar to the fairs that I've experienced here in New York and Miami. So I just thought that this would be like a really good entry point, and also an opportunity to see if, my interests, both from an artist perspective and from a curatorial perspective, are a good fit for the art landscape in Mexico City. So I was trying to take advantage of the opportunity and think about materials and processes that I'm really excited about that I find in the US are often more overlooked or undervalued. So thinking about more like craft-based processes, and photography-based processes, collage, that sort of thing, that I feel like is received differently in Mexico City. So it was an opportunity to like really showcase some artists here in the US that I've gotten to know and really let them shine and see how an international community responds to them. So yeah, I just think it was like a good way to like see what's going on there, but also, be able to introduce myself and the work that I'm doing, the people that I'm working with, and see who else is around and might be a good fit to collaborate with in the future.
Great. And then you were able to be here in Las Vegas for the opening of Interior
Yeah.
Landscapes here at CouperRuss. So, having experienced both the works in Mexico City and then here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we've added some additional works also. Um, do you think the works are potentially perceived a little differently in this context? What was your impressions?
Yes, I mean, I have a few thoughts about that. First of all, just not even in terms of like a location, just the way the presentation really changes your perception because, at an art fair, you have a small section of wall, and so you're, hanging a fully realized show together in a small cramped space and trying to do that in a way that still highlights every single work and creates conversation. But I think that we did a really good job of letting all of the work shine and speak to each other. But it definitely does have a different feel when you can be in a white cube space and spread out and really create conversations between the works. Like I feel like the color palette in the show really shines in CouperRuss. And you can kind of like really dive deeper into what those colors could mean, why they're being present, whereas sometimes it gets a little lost whenever you're at a fair.